I would have him in this loop where I'm having sex with him and him, and they both know it. When I'm mad at him, I go to him. When I'm mad at him, I go to him. It's not a secret. It's not like I'm playing neither one, because they both know. Yeah, every time I have sex with him, it's
you think of me so bad,
every
so you
time.
You think of me so bad, you down to me, but you had sex with me too, so that means you like me, right?
Yeah.
You like me, right?
Oh, I like the way you do your thing.
Yeah,
That's what I like.
I know.
I like the
That's
way
fine.
you do your thing, baby. That's all.
Ms. Duncan has 2 men paying child support for her 2-year-old daughter. Yep, as strange as it sounds, that's the theme of today's court case. With good reasons, her main man is very doubtful of fathering the kid and demands a paternity test. But if he's indeed the child's biological father, he will pay more child support. Fasten your seatbelts because it's about to be a long ride.
You claim your rights as a potential father to the child in question today, 2-year-old Angel Bryant, were basically stolen from you.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say at 56 years old and having never fathered a child previously, you've had doubts about paternity from the beginning.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yet you maintain you still assume financial responsibility for Angel.
How is it okay to sleep with your supposed ex when you're in a relationship with a man you share a special bond with? Something isn't right here. Perhaps the relationship bond was never that special. Ms. Duncan likes to get the freak on, but Mr. Green isn't active enough to sweep her off her feet. But that doesn't justify her infidelity, does it?
Mr. Green, how did you meet Ms. Duncan?
How did I meet her? Well, it was New Year's night. She was out, I was out, of course. I saw her staggering a little bit, walking home alone from the club. I took her home, then we just talked for a little bit, exchanged numbers.
Then shortly thereafter, you guys began dating?
I don't have sex. I'm not a sexually active person.
We all know it's a norm to ask a woman you newly met if she has a man before you make advances towards her. But if she lies about it and you believe her, you get played from the start. Mr. Green's reaction from hearing his woman confess her promiscuous acts to the court shows he's been played from the very beginning.
He knew I was talking to someone, but I told him we broke up, but I was still talking to him.
All right, so you basically lied and told him you weren't talking to the guy anymore, but you were.
Yes.
And you weren't just talking to him.
No.
You were still having sex with him too?
Yes.
See, I didn't know that. I didn't know nothing about a relationship.
As a sexually inactive man in his 50s, Mr. Green has never fathered a child. So it's no surprise he was wide-eyed when his girlfriend got pregnant. But could the baby be a genuine blessing in disguise or a jab at his infertility?
So I called Mr. Green.
You did?
Yes.
He was the first person you called?
Yes.
And so what was your reaction? Were you happy?
I just couldn't believe it. I was in shock.
You were 54 years old.
Yes.
You never had another child.
No, Your Honor.
So you were in a bit of a shock.
That's why I was in shock.
To fuel his doubts further, Mr. Green claims he wasn't present at the child's birth because he wasn't informed. What's more is that his name isn't on the birth certificate. Now, why didn't you invite the man you claimed is responsible for your pregnancy to your delivery, Ms. Duncan? This sounds like she had another candidate and was weighing her options for the child's paternity.
I figured that if I'm supposed to be the child's father, I would have been there at the time of birth. My name would be on the birth certificate, Your Honor. And in fact, while she was pregnant, I was informed that she would call me. I said, call me when you get ready to have the child. I would like to cut the cord.
In her defense, Ms. Duncan claims Mr. Green never wanted to be there as he didn't show any interest in the pregnancy from the beginning. But guess what? Someone else stepped up. Who else but the other guy she claimed she stopped talking to? And he did more than just showing up at the hospital.
Your Honor, he wasn't nowhere around me. During my pregnancy, this other guy, he stepped up. So that's a lie,
No.
Your Honor. That's a lie.
I was there, but not there like you want me to be.
I made a mistake. I was with the other guy.
That part is true, but I
wasn't
told you I have
nowhere
a thing
around.
about hospitals.
You wouldn't believe how Mr. Green found out about the other guy's existence. My oh my. It's clear his woman took advantage of his softness, or what gave her the confidence to tell him the way she did. Even the timing was wrong.
Of pregnancy or
Yes.
when the baby was born?
6 or 7 months during pregnancy. And that's why I found out the baby may be who she said it may be.
So how did you break that news, Miss Duncan?
You know I had a...
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
You told me about 6 or 7 months after you was pregnant. You said the baby may not be yours. It may be you know who.
Oh, that wasn't the end of the humiliation Mr. Green faced. Imagine returning from a fun day with your family and a stranger claims to be your kid's father. This is beyond heartbreaking. Words can't describe how broken Mr. Green is right now in court. He's literally fighting to hold the tears back.
Mr. Green, when you say you know who, did you ever meet this other guy?
Not too afterwards. I don't know if it was a birthday or Mother's Day. And he was outside waiting for her. And that kind of hurt. And he said, I come to see my daughter. And that's like embarrassing, you know. He was already there waiting for her to come home.
Ms. Duncan claims the other guy was there for her during the whole process, which explains why he felt so entitled. However, Mr. Green was nowhere to be found. Although he was hurt, which is understandable, he should have been there for her for the baby's sake. Right now, both of them are definitely guilty of several wrongdoings.
The other guy was around all the way through my pregnancy.
Really?
Yes.
Was he at the birth too?
Yes.
So while he was sitting around waiting for the phone to ring,
I called him.
The other guy
answered.
Oh, so hold on now. If the other guy was there, you called him and he didn't answer. Did you already? You gonna have them both
called
there?
Him. No, Your Honor, no.
In Mr. Green's absence, Ms. Duncan decided to make a strong move. She gave the other guy the authority to stand as the child's legal father. That's why he was so confident the day they crossed paths. And now she claims she did that to mess with both men. The moment of truth is upon us.
So this is you in the hospital with your beautiful new baby?
Yes, Your Honor.
And the other gentleman with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And so you decided just to put his name on the birth certificate?
Yes, Your Honor. I was messing with both of them. There's a possibility he could be the father as well.
It's time to know if Mr. Green is truly the baby's biological father or not. If he isn't, it will crush him to his bones. But let's get it over with.
Paternity of 2-year-old Angel Bryant. Mr. Ronald Green, you are not her father. I'm so sorry. Mostly sorry for Angel. Ms. Duncan, are we certain it is the other gentleman?
Yes,
No other possibility?
No, Your Honor.
Miss Allen, today's plaintiff, has been playing the role of father and mother to her daughter since she gave birth to her. Alive and well, Mr. Tolliver, the potential baby daddy, wants nothing to do with the child. Now they are both in court to confirm the baby's paternity. If he turns out to be the baby's biological father, he will pay every dime of the child's support.
Ms. Allen, you claim the defendant got you pregnant and now refuses to do anything for your 2-year-old daughter, Novella, who's been diagnosed with severe allergies, leaving you in financial and emotional distress. You claim today's DNA test will prove that he is Novella's father, and you need him to step up.
Yes, Your Honor.
The defendant has never for once tried to play his fatherly role for the little girl. No child support, no visitation, not a care in the world. Now that's very cruel. What reasons could he have to neglect his responsibilities?
Ms. Allen, what has he done for your daughter?
Absolutely nothing, Honor.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Wow. Has he paid any child support at all?
No, Your Honor.
Been involved in her life?
No, Your Honor.
Come to visit her?
No, Your Honor.
I have several reasons that I can prove that I'm not the father.
It's funny how mommy and daddy don't like being around each other. Since the child's birth, both parties have made little attempts to do a DNA test to confirm her paternity. But they surely enjoyed being around each other when they had the sex that led to the pregnancy, didn't they?
I've tried to get her to do a DNA test. For instance, just the other day, said she's not going to do the test.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you been avoiding the test, Ms. Allen?
No, I haven't not been avoiding the test.
Why haven't you taken it if he's volunteering?
He's the reason why. I honestly do not want to go take a test by myself with him.
Apparently, the plaintiff had been trying to work things out with her alleged baby daddy, but that didn't sit well with his new girlfriend. She made sure there was nothing to settle between them.
But you don't have to be present at the same time to get the DNA testing done.
She texts him saying that she misses him, and I accidentally saw that. It was on Facebook Messenger that she missed him. So I don't know where she's getting this. She doesn't want to be with him. It confuses me.
At this point, Judge Lauren wants more clarity on the nature of their relationship during the window of conception, but not for the first time today. Their responses contradict one another. It appears that they both have different views on how serious their relationship was. Isn't this just interesting?
You two were in a sexual relationship at some point,
yes.
am I correct?
Yes.
Was it during the window of time that Novella was conceived?
Yes, ma'am.
How long were you together?
Couple months, not long. It wasn't a heavy, steady relationship. We weren't.
So you weren't committed?
Yeah, we was committed.
We seen each other on the weekends every now and again. It's not like we lived in different counties.
The defendant claims Ms. Allen gave him some inappropriate details about her sex life after a few drinks on their first night together. Funny enough, she doesn't remember saying those things. Well, in wine, there is truth. Now we are getting why he didn't feel committed to the relationship from the onset. But someone needs to tell this man that it doesn't change the fact that he could be the baby's biological father.
Yes, we were having drinks, talking, and I don't want to hear about that. I don't want to hear who you had sex with, but I mean, when I mean, alcohol does that. Alcohol opens people up. That's what she told me. And I mean, the first night we met, you know, we had sex, you know. I've heard that I'm not the only one that she's been like that.
As it turns out, Ms. Allen didn't help the situation at all. Could you believe she didn't invite the defendant to the hospital while she was having the delivery? Guess what she did instead? The plaintiff had another man with her at the hospital during the delivery. Oh boy.
She's saying that, and it's on the Facebook.
What are these pictures of, Mr. Tolliver?
That's Miss Allen with the guy she was seeing at the time that she's telling me that.
So this is her in the hospital having birth, and that's the man there on the phone in the corner.
Her boyfriend, or she's telling me that that's going to be Novella's father.
The whole situation is so confusing right now. It's hard to tell if Mr. Tolliver is indeed the baby's biological father or the other guy. But another askable question is this: did the plaintiff sleep with someone else other than the defendant during the window of conception?
When you got pregnant, were you dating anyone else at the time?
No.
Did you call Mr. Tolliver and tell him you were pregnant?
Yes, I did.
What was his response?
I called him when I was in the doctor's office, told him I was pregnant, and his basic response was, it was not his problem, it was my problem.
In her defense, Ms. Allen claims she called Mr. Tolliver after the baby was born, but he gave her an uncultured response. Defending himself, the alleged baby father claims she only reaches out to him whenever she has relationship issues with her boyfriend. So that's why he responded to her the way he did. Regardless of what he thinks of his ex, he should have considered the baby's well-being and showed up when his presence was demanded.
I asked her who the father was. That's what I told her. I said, you need to find out who the father is.
And what was the answer?
She said, well, it's mine. She said I was the father. But it's only when she's in a fight with her boyfriend or breaking up with her boyfriend does she come to me and want me back.
After the child was born, she developed severe allergies. These allergies give the defendant more reasons to doubt the kid being his because there are no allergy histories in his family. Isn't that hilarious? For clarity, the judge invites a doctor to the courtroom to explain the connection between allergies and human genetics.
So it's hard for us to drop a thumbnail and say, oh, you know what? Because of these allergies, her father is...
Exactly.
We can't do that.
No.
That's what I needed to know.
You know, not willing to do the DNA test.
But part of your argument was, too, that you don't have allergies and no one in your family has them.
But that's because she told me that the baby had allergies and they had to come from my side of the family.
Now we've had enough of the plaintiff and defendant going back and forth with their arguments. It's time for Judge Lauren to read out the test results. Let's get to it.
Mr. Tolliver, you are her father.
Okay.
Are you happy?
A little bit, yes, ma'am.
Just a little happy.
Well, I mean, I've always wanted a kid, but the other thing is, though, I mean, now I want Rachel to understand this. I'm going to be in the baby's life, but, you know, I know you said you're over me, but we're done with the going back and forth, okay?
Ms. Ray has been getting child support from 2 men who are potential fathers to her 2-year-old son, Jordan. This right here sounds like a love triangle. Today, both men are present in court for the paternity test, and whoever comes out positive gets to pay the child support in full. Now, who's the lucky man?
Ms. Ray, 2 men claim your 2-year-old son, Jordan, calls them daddy.
Yes, Your Honor.
They also say you've held them both financially responsible for your child.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say those statements are lies.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you confess you got caught in a love triangle, and now, though it breaks your heart, you don't know which man fathered your son.
Yes, Your Honor.
Firstly, how did they get here? Apparently, the plaintiff was initially in a relationship with Mr. Josh Wise. Then they went on a break, and while on the break, she kicked off with Mr. Dave Easton, the other guy.
We began at the end of the summer in 2011. Me and Mr. Wise was on a break, and Mr. Eastham was a longtime friend of mine, shoulder to cry on, and we had 2 different occasions that we had got drunk and partied together. We do not know if we had sex.
Contradicting the plaintiff's previous claims, Mr. Easton asserts that he had sex with her more than once. Whoa. So he really was offering Ms. Ray more than a shoulder to cry on whenever she had issues with her main boyfriend. That's so scandalous.
Okay, so Mr. Eastham, was this the one and only time you were intimate with Ms. Ray?
No.
That's true.
No.
We used to be together for here and there, like when me and Josh would split up. Dave was my best friend and there was always a connection, so yeah, he was my go-to person.
Funny enough, Mr. Wise didn't realize he was participating in a love triangle the whole time. Wow, how crazy is this? But eventually, his girlfriend broke the news to him because her friendly shoulder was on her neck with claims of being the baby's father. So, in a blink of an eye, their relationship went from love triangle to paternity triangle.
Mr. Wise, when did you find out about Mr. Eastham and the fact that Ms. Ray was in a sexual relationship with him?
That is when I told Josh that Dave could possibly be the father, that we had partied together, and we do not know what happened. Neither one of us could remember. We've had multiple conversations about it.
Something amazing comes into the light when Mr. Easton presents a baby picture of himself and that of Jordan to the court. But hey, looks can be deceiving, you know. Let's not jump into conclusions just yet because Mr. Wise presented his own pair of pictures too. And you couldn't have guessed what transpired.
And Mr. Eastham, you actually submitted baby pictures of yourself.
Yeah.
Mr. Wise, now you feel like he looks like you. Do you have evidence of that? Jerome, would you hand that to me?
You haven't heard it all. Jordan addresses both men as daddy, so that means he's connected to both of them. But in truth, there can only be one daddy. What a crazy scenario we've got here.
Both of them.
He calls you daddy.
Yeah, he's always known me as dad. Yeah, he's called me dad before too, though.
He calls you dad too?
He does call me dad sometimes.
Ms. Ray isn't hiding the fact that she hopes the DNA results reveal that Mr. Wise is Jordan's father so her family can get back together. But Mr. Easton thinks she's being hypocritical. Now, why would he think that?
Okay, if they're talking about trying to get their family back and all that, like, why hasn't she been trying to do that for 2 years while Jordan has been aging for 2 years instead of letting him?
It was never my intention to get my family back. You can ask
I've heard you say that numerous times.
Presumably, Mr. Easton didn't like the fact that the plaintiff only comes to him whenever her relationship got muddy and leaves whenever things are settled. He wants a real relationship with her, but she doesn't see him that way. So that makes him look like the villain in their love triangle story.
Eastham, is there any truth to the fact that you wanted to sabotage their relationship and you didn't want it to work?
That's a lie.
I never wanted to sabotage anybody's relationship.
So you felt like she really cared about you?
Yeah, I mean, and I know she still does. I'm not saying she don't.
You really wanted a relationship. It's clear you wanted a relationship with her.
Of course.
Another twist to the story is that after Mr. Wise learned the truth about his girlfriend's infidelity, they split up. And since then, she and her son have been living with Mr. Easton. Now this is becoming really confusing. Why move into his house with Jordan if you don't think he's his biological father?
So now, for the last 1.5 to 2 years, you've been together solid. Is that dating?
No, like we live together, stay together.
Oh, you live together?
Yeah.
Like I'm saying,
And
I've been there raising that boy.
Too.
Right there. Yeah.
Jordan was 2 months old when me and Mr. Wise split up. It was right after I told him there was a possibility Dave could be the father.
The deeper we go into this love triangle story, the crazier and more confusing it gets. I think it's high time we heard Judge Lauren read out the test results. Here we go.
Mr. Wise is his father.
I told you. I told everybody. I knew.
How do you feel, Mr. Wise?
Happy, amazing, love that kid.
Ms. Brown has known Mr. Burks to be her father since childhood, but in court today, he's claiming he's not her biological father. Regardless of his claims, one thing is certain if the result proves him wrong. He's got a lot of child support debt to pay.
Mr. Burks, you claim to be more than $26,000 in debt due to child support for the defendant, Ms. Brown, who you say is definitely not your biological daughter. Ms. Brown, you state that for 30 years you've known only one man to be your father, and you are devastated that he is now claiming you are not his biological daughter.
The question is, why did Mr. Burks wait this long before coming out to state his claims? If he had doubts, then he should have found ways to clear them in the early stages, not now. Presently, he's got this young lady emotional as she tells the court how he makes offensive statements about the time he spent with her mother. No, Papa, that's unacceptable. You need to do better.
How do you feel about Mr. Burks denying that you are his daughter after all these years?
I am hurt. I'm disappointed. I don't even know how to feel. I can't even believe somebody even have a question of how I feel. I'm 30 years old. 30 years old. And I have to deal with this? You know, and then he brings up talking about it was a one-night stand with my mom and all that kind of stuff like that. It wasn't no one-night stand.
Eventually, Papa spills the beans on how he met the defendant's mother, but Ms. Brown is having none of it and claims her mother told her otherwise. It seems the air conditioners aren't working properly. Or can someone explain where the heat in the courtroom is coming from?
And we went to a hotel. I did my thing, but I did not.
You didn't. Y'all had a relationship. Yeah, they had a relationship.
I didn't have no relationship.
Yeah, you did. Yes, you
wasn't there. How you know?
You wanted to
You
marry
wasn't
her
even there.
because she told me.
I know for a fact because
she's not gonna lie.
It took Judge Lauren's intervention to calm Ms. Brown's nerves as she's not holding back in her heated argument with her alleged father. So he continues his explanation on how he found out about her pregnancy and the effect it had on his marriage. Now we're getting a clearer picture of what his relationship was like with the young woman's mother.
I'm back in the house with her. I'm at work. My ex-wife get a phone call. It's her mother on the phone saying she's pregnant by me. So my house get tore up all over again. Bam, I'm out the door again. So in the process, she said I'm the father, so I go find her.
Apparently, Mr. Burke's name isn't written on Ms. Brown's birth certificate, and this strengthens his belief that she is not his biological daughter. As believable as his claims sound, they are not enough to get him off the child support debt because his name is on the child support document. Only one thing can, and that's the outcome of the DNA test.
My name is not on the birth certificate. I'm not a father.
That's evidence you'd like to present?
Yes, ma'am.
Ron, will you pass that to me, please?
But my name is on the child support paper.
This is Miss Brown's birth certificate listed as father, no one.
None.
And yet you also have a paper that indicates that there is an order establishing the parent-child relationship and you are responsible for child support.
Wait a minute. How did they get his name to be on the child support document when it isn't on the birth certificate? As it turns out, while Mr. Burks was away, there was a court case and the outcome caused his name to be on the child support document. The further we get into this, the more absurd it gets.
At some point, did you acknowledge paternity or was there a court case that you didn't show up?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's what happened.
So you're named the father by default?
I was away. They had the court without me even being there. They had already been to court, determined I was behind a real rich of $40,000.
In a counterattack, Ms. Brown presents a photograph of herself and Papa's other daughter. Now this is where it gets more interesting. The two ladies in the photograph look alike, but you know what we always say, looks can be deceiving. This isn't enough to confirm that they are biological siblings.
That's evidence to prove that we look alike. Look, y'all look up those noses. So. No. Yeah, you want to go around saying I'm bigger than everybody. You sound like a fool for saying that. That's the only thing you got?
This is a picture of you and Mr. Burke's other daughter.
Yes.
And you're saying you see the family similarity without
with the noses to me, the noses is
I don't think so.
Lips are like that.
Initially, it seemed like Mr. Burks was getting an edge over his alleged daughter in their arguments, but his victory was short-lived when Judge Lauren learned he tried to keep Miss Brown and her mom a secret. For some evident reasons, he never wanted to be her father.
Because, you know, I wanted to keep it hush-hush. I wanted to deal with it myself. I wanted to make sure I went to her mother, I gave her money, I bought diapers and everything.
So basically, you didn't want the fact that you had cheated on your wife to come out?
Exactly, yeah.
Right, okay.
Judge Lauren can't help but notice the disconnection between the possible father and daughter, and that prompts her to ask questions. Presumably, there's something about Ms. Brown that Mr. Burks detests.
Hundreds of families I've helped, I've never really seen this much complete disconnection between a possible father and a daughter at this age. So I want to understand how this happened, how we got here.
Enough with all the drama. It's time to hear the test result. Brace yourselves for impact.
Mr. Burks, you are the father.
See, I told you, and you sat up there and do me like this. That what you gonna do? See, it's all about my life now. But you know what, after this, he don't have to worry about me. I promise that he don't have to worry about me, because if it took all this for you to do this to me.
Ms. Baccus appears in court today against her alleged father, Mr. Wooten, and stepsister, Ms. Smith, regarding a paternity dispute. If she wins this case, she demands that her potential father and siblings apologize to her for all their wrongdoings. That's not all. The outcome of the test will determine whether or not Mr. Wooten will have a chunk of his monthly earnings chopped off for child support. Oof!
Ms. Smith, you and your father, Mr. Wooten, are suing to prove Ms. Baccus is not his biological daughter. You say your dad owes more than $92,000 in back child support for a child who isn't his and is on the verge of losing everything because his income is being garnished by 50% each month to pay off that debt.
Yes, Your Honor.
So there is a rumor within the family that Ms. Baccus's mother was playing Mr. Wooten from the beginning of their relationship. Now where is all that coming from? As it seems, the Wooten family refused to claim Ms. Baccus because of the amount of debts Daddy owes in child support. But is the young woman to be blamed for that?
Primarily through the actions of her mother by being very deceitful with my father from the very beginning of their relationship. They initially did not start garnishing his wages. It wasn't until later when he was started drawing Social Security that they began to garnish half of his wages.
Now there's an argument between the ladies on how long Papa Wooten and Ms. Baccus's mom were together in their relationship. This argument raises huge questions on the young lady's paternity. Eventually, Daddy cuts in and sheds the light on how things actually went between them.
Your Honor, my father never received any paperwork requesting his presence to have a DNA test done. He was not requested to come to court to prove that he was not her father.
My father knows I'm his child. And guess when I was conceived? I was conceived when a year later after him and my mother was together. And they was together for 7 years, so you tell me.
They were not together for 7 years.
There is so much tension in the courtroom right now. Mr. Wooten claims he had no doubts at first when Ms. Baccus's mother told him she was pregnant. But along the line, his doubts began. Hearing Daddy say he doubted her mom made the young woman lose her cool. And not for the first time today, the arguments began again.
So when did you start doubting that?
When she had...
My mama said I was a planned
She
child.
became pregnant again years later, and she wanted to get back together. When I got back together with her, I'd asked her, had she been seeing anybody else before we got together? And she said no. We got together 3 weeks after we was together. Then she
Father,
told me
no
she was
disrespect
pregnant.
and not to interrupt you, but my mother told me y'all sat on the couch.
Ms. Smith and her alleged stepsister have been on each other's throats since the beginning of this case, and they are not backing down now. She claims she and her siblings knew a child was born at the end of Papa Wooten's relationship with Ms. Baccus's mother. However, they never spoke about her amongst themselves. Now this raises the question, could it be that they never accepted her from the onset because they never really accepted their father's relationship with her mother?
Your mother, when I met your mother 3 weeks into knowing her, she wanted to know why.
She told me y'all was together a whole year and then I was born a year later.
Alondra, please.
Man, Daddy, I can't, I'm not even feeling nothing that y'all saying right now. That's why I brought y'all here and we finna find out the truth. Cause you and Cece will apologize to me and my mother today.
I do not owe you an apology.
You're not gonna
Yeah, you are. You gonna see one.
No,
you gonna see one.
This is where it gets interesting. The young woman presented a handwritten birth certificate to the judge. In this certificate, it is stated that Papa Wooten is her father, but the original certificate presented by Papa states otherwise.
True enough, my mama was wrong for handwriting it in because he was not there when I was born. He came later. She wrote it in because she know who her baby daddy is. That's one thing my mama
let me
do know.
see this evidence. This is your birth certificate?
That was my birth certificate. But when I filed for my new one, it came up blank on his name. That means she wrote it in.
This case gets more intense. The deeper we look into it, Ms. Baccus keeps providing more evidence to prove that the man in question is indeed her father. Apparently, there are baby pictures of her and Mr. Wooten as well as her alleged half-sister. This means she was accepted into the family as a baby, but was kicked out as an adult.
Don't seem like that he denied me. And in this picture, with my sister holding me next to my mother, didn't seem like they denied me.
Will you hand those up, please? Please explain to me, what is this a picture of?
That is my mother. That's me in the middle, and that's Cece on the end. That's why I can't never stop loving her. And she making me mad right now, but I still got love, because I am my sister's keeper for life.
The hatred for Ms. Baccus's mom isn't just within Papa Wooten's legal children. Even Granny hated her and never accepted her child as her granddaughter. But on her dying bed, her son confessed some things to her, and that changed how she felt about her alleged grandchild. Now we get that at some point, amidst the family drama, the young woman was accepted into the family as an adult. But the question still remains, if it wasn't for the huge child support debt, why did they suddenly decide to exclude Ms. Baccus from the family rights?
So, Mr. Wooten,
you know that's a lie.
I know she felt like she had a part of that. Why that came about is my mother was dying, and I, would not deny her. In other words, my mother for years kept saying, you know she's not your daughter.
That's right.
And up to that point, when I told my mother, I said, yes, she is, And that's when my mother decided to apologize to her.
As the case goes back and forth, MS Smith decides to drop a bomb. She claims that Ms. Baccus's mom had secret affairs with other men when she was living in Papa Wooten's house. Now, that's a strong allegation, Ms. Smithy. Due to this reason, she always had doubts about the young woman being her father's biological daughter. But if she's right, then there are dark clouds hovering over Ms. Baccus's paternity.
During the time that her mother was with my father, when my father left for work, because she did not work, when she was at our home, she would have men come to our house.
You 12 years old and you need to stay in your bed. What you not gonna do?
Calm down, ladies. Let's calm down.
What you not gonna do?
She would tell me that that was either her cousin or one of my dad's friends.
At this point, I think we've heard just about enough from both sides. All the arguments between the two ladies are not as important as the DNA test result. Is Mr. Wooten really Ms. Baccus's biological father? There's only one way to find out. Don't drop your phone just yet.
Mr. Wooten Jr., you are not her father. I know this was not the answer you were expecting.
No, it wasn't, but I had to do it. I had to do it.
Yes, you did.
I was tired of the rumors. I was tired of being treated. So now I know why I got treated like I am, and I'm good. I wanna apologize to the Wooten Pryor Clayton family for my mom's BS. CC, I came here with the confidence of knowing he was my father and knowing you was my sister.